Hey there, internets. Hey, Democrats. You need to tone down your rhetoric. So, for the last, at least, let's see, Obama got elected in 2008. 15 years. Every time somebody objected to what you said, they were racist. Or, in the last 6 or 7, they were fascists. Anytime Republicans did anything remotely funny or tried to put together a theme, you called it a threat of violence. You called it violent protests when the Tea Party marchers showed up with flags and signs. And what do you think is going to happen? And you said Republicans need to tone down their rhetoric because it was going to result in violence. Well, guess what happened with your rhetoric this week? Somebody went in and shot up a school. Now, we know this person has a manifesto. It's not been released. They won't release it. But it's kind of, you can put pieces together. They were part of the woke cult, and they went after a Christian school. Put 2 and 2 together. You sit there calling people fascist, and everyone knows it's bad to be a fascist. Well, and you call them racist and transphobes. And now, your chickens have come home to roost because someone acted on your outright hate. I'm getting some links tonight from Timcast because they got a very high fact check rating, even if they're not well known. Group called Trans Resistance Network says hate has consequences. Says the death of the Nashville shooter was a tragedy. The only thing that was a tragedy is they were sucked into your weird gender ideology. You're calling it genocide. Of when people want to say you can't perform surgeries on minors and you can't give cross-sex hormones to kids. Call that genocide. Well, let me type in genocide into my dictionary.com app. This is what it says for genocide. The deliberate and systematic extermination of a national, racial, political, or cultural group. How is it genocide? How is it extermination to say, wait till you're 18 before you start making permanent alterations to your body? It's not. When you use that language, you're telling people that somebody's going to come to door for them and do something. They're not. I had a friend in California, call her my favorite witch because she is pagan and she is a witch. Her daughter, when she was married to her previous husband, loved her grandmother via her stepfather at the time. Her grandmother was Japanese. When Trump got elected, all you guys were running around saying Trump's going to throw people out of the country. That kind of hyperbole is pushing things to worse ends. All for you guys to have power. She had to sit her daughter down, and she voted for Hillary that year and say, no, Trump isn't going to deport your grandmother. She's a legal immigrant, for one. 2, she's not a felon. But that kind of hyperbole left her having to explain that to her daughter, who was believing your bullcrap. You need to tone down your rhetoric. Start being realistic. Stop trying to say, oh, they're banning books. No, we're saying some books are not appropriate for children. So what's being debated in a democratic institution is not genocide. It is saying, wait till you're 18 to make these decisions. Don't push this stuff on kids. That is not genocide. Genocide is rounding people up and ending them. Genocide is demanding that they give up their own ethnic identity when you're coming into the area. Not asking someone to assimilate to you when they come into your area, but coming in and forced relocations, removing people from their area, demanding they adopt your ways of doing things. If anything, the attitude of the left toward people who are religious bears that definition more than anything when you tell them you must engage in acts of commerce that you religiously object to. It's almost like you're engaging in confession through projection. But anyway, it says here the Trans Resistance Network has been notified the shooter involved in today's church shooting in Nashville was a person identifying as transgender. Wrote the Trans Resistance Network in a media statement. While it's not our policy to engage publicly with news media, we believe this moment calls for a thoughtful response from our collective. Because, of course, they are collectivists. The media statement started going on about how it wasn't a tragedy just for the 6 victims, but a tragedy for the shooter. They want to create a LGBTQ George Floyd to give them another reason to riot, to have another summer of love and peaceful but fiery protests as they burn down people's businesses. What was a tragedy is this person was sucked into the gender cult. The fact that the police responded and brought an end to the person was not the tragedy. The tragedy is what this butcher did. This person attacked a Christian school because of the actions of the Nashville legislature. Them coming through and saying, we've heard some of these leftists start saying things like, well, if they wouldn't have passed these laws, we wouldn't have this person wouldn't have done that. That's saying you comply or else. That's what they're saying. So don't talk to me about fascism when your rhetoric is to say comply or else. That's your rhetoric. That's your behaviors. And this is the result. And it's not about weapons either. Our position has been to harden the targets. And you saw what real police officers do on that. I saw some of the body cam footage. 3 officers went in through the door. They didn't wait until they had over 100 officers and trying to figure out what are we going to do. They went after the threat. Those men are heroes. And worrying about the misgendering the shooter. No, I'm not going to misgender. I'm not going to call them something they're not. They were a woman. They were an adult human female. That means she, her pronouns. I'm not going to get into any of the more less tasteful memes that have already gone around in some circles. Another article from Timcast. Trans activists threaten to kill Tennessee lawmakers. Someone asks where they can get a hold of a toxin. I'm not going to name which one. I don't want to run too afoul of the YouTube censors. In a series of tweets, one Twitter user shared a screenshot from LGBTQ Nation claiming Tennessee lawmakers were requiring transgender identifying youth to detransition by next year. Where does this come from? There's no law that says that. There's no policy coming from that, but you make stuff up like that and you get people believing it just so you can have power and score political points. This is what genocide looks like, the original poster wrote regarding the article. There is no such thing as making people detransition. In a now deleted tweet, another user with the handle, and I'm not going to give it, quote, tweeted the original poster saying, these people are forcing youth to detransition, have names and addresses. You know what that is. That is a direct saying we should dox them and threaten them. A third person echoed the statement by asking where to obtain a toxin, which I will not name. Let me know where I can get on some of that toxin. Then we are in business, said the third user. So you got people threatening to kill lawmakers because they passed a law that they didn't like because of your rhetoric. And posted, far left extremists and militants, activists are threatening to kill or injure lawmakers in Tennessee as revenge for the state banning the medical transitioning of minors. Their violent threats have surged in recent weeks. That's no shock. We saw exactly how peaceful the left is during the summer of love. This is you, Democrats. You're not condemning this. Somebody said they're going to delete the tweet so they don't have their personal rhetoric becoming representative to a whole myriad of different people. Well, you shouldn't have put the tweet up there in the first place, because once it's on the internet, it's there forever. One person complaining about being targeted by Andy No. Now there's another. The user also posted, "I'll relinquish my firearms when white supremacy, the state, fascism, and transphobia is completely removed from existence. Until then, come and take it." And they've got an AK-47 with a different spelling of the first word, and take it. And they, on a, I think this is the trans flag. Here's the thing: I will defend their right to defend themselves. Unlike them, who don't believe I have any right to defend myself, or that where they don't think I have a right to speak, I will defend their right to defend themselves. To defend, not offend. Big key difference. They do, there is an article here about the body camera footage, but I don't think that's really relevant. And then today, anti-gun activists stormed the Tennessee Capitol, trying to turn the tragedy political and for their own political ends. In Kentucky, where they overrode the governor's veto to ban this abuse of children, they stormed the Capitol and had to be arrested and ushered out. This is the behavior of the left. This is what your behaviors do. Now, they were talking about doing a trans day of vengeance, only it was going to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Now they say it's not going to happen because of supposedly credible threats on people's lives. Yet they don't have a problem with credible threats being issued against conservatives. Matt Walsh had to cancel one of his planned event this weekend because there was threats against his family. He said it makes him want to fight more. It doesn't make him back down, but he does have to attend to the safety of his family. I'll pray for the safety of his family and everybody else at the Daily Wire. And it's a lot of times you see law enforcement they'll take down from the internet manifestos and whatnot that these shooters put up. We need to see them. We need to see what goes on in these guys' heads. The one in New York, I read part of it, and he was not a conservative. I read part of it. It was going on. Yes, he was a racist, but he was not a conservative. He had Marxist ideas. This person's that shot up this school on Monday, their ideas of their manifesto needs to be out there. We should hear it. And nobody should be afraid of it being out there if you're in one of these groups like Trans Resistance Network or whatnot. Because if the person is not one of you, why are you afraid of it? So, and I know they don't want to give people ideas, don't want to spread dangerous ideologies, but you have to know what those ideologies are, and so they should release it. But I'm also going to say shouldn't be any retaliation. Do not be violent, because that will only make things worse, and it will only make people turn against you. So any of this type of stuff needs to stop. But Democrats, you especially need to tone down your rhetoric. You've needed to tone it down for a long time. The fact that you tolerated the Summer of Love, that you were bailing people out of jail when they rioted and fought with cops and lit stuff on fire, some cases resulting in people getting killed. In Atlanta, your behaviors, your rhetoric has it led to rioting and people burning random houses that were being built near Cop City got burned down because of your attitudes. That is not democracy or a democratic republic, which is what we actually are. And it's not peaceful protest. And a lawyer for the Southern Poverty Law Center, they were involved in it. So don't talk to me about hate. The hate group is the Southern Poverty Law Center. So that's what I have to say about this tonight. I probably could have saved it for a Saturday night rant. These guys keep escalating for the people who are in the world of the sane, which is pretty much nobody on the left at this point. If you're in the world of the sane and you're an activist, you're a precinct committee officer, if you're a Republican precinct committee officer, if you're a low-level elected official, if you're an activist whose name's out there, if these guys start targeting Tennessee lawmakers, don't be surprised if they start working down the line. If that happens, I think it was in Portland, there were some Black Lives Matter, St. Louis, there's some BLM type groups that showed up at this guy's house. They're going to go protest one guy, but they ended up at the wrong guy's house. Well, he had a shotgun, and he was inside his house the whole time. They saw through the window that he had a weapon. They got the cops to arrest him for brandishing a firearm. So my personal recommendation is if you ever find that kind of a group protesting near your house, pull your drapes before you do anything. Get your camera phone going while you call police to get these people moved out. Have your own camera going so that you have a video record of what's going on, because these people will lie. Don't be shocked. But until then, take care, stay safe, and Democrats, again, tone it down. And everybody, like, share, subscribe.